Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Alright, what do we got?
Just came in. Heart attack. 5'9", 300 pounds, 32 years old.
How the hell does that happen?
Can I get a, Could be developing diabetes. Let's make exchange. Oh, yeah.
You're graduating! Watch TV. You wouldn't even have to leave.
You can't do this.
Yes, can I get a...
You gotta know how deep this.
You have to make a change. Good job, Jim. You got an A+. There are your fries, sweetie. I still can't believe you give this child French fries. I know, but it's the only thing that'll make him stop.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Cunanan. On this show, we talk about everything under the sun, and tonight, our advocacy on health and wellness continues. But with a twist, because tonight we're going to talk about the health of school children and the rising rates of obesity in today's youth, and we're going to talk about what the government and what some private institutions, in particular the Diliman Preparatory School, are doing about this problem. And joining us now is Senator Ana Dominic Nikki Cositeng.
Good afternoon, Buddy, and good afternoon to all our viewers.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you here, Senator. And
Thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure, ma'am. Absolutely. Now, few people have not heard of Senator Nikki Cositeng. You were in Congress for a long time, and as a congresswoman first, and then but before that, as a social civic leader, then as a congresswoman and a senator, and you were responsible for the passage of many vital pieces of legislation. And then since then, you've bowed out of government service. And I'm sure many of our viewers are interested to know what the most beautiful senator in the history of the Philippines has been doing since she left government.
Thank you for your very kind words. I have been running a school. It's called Diliman Preparatory School on Commonwealth Avenue, Quezon City. I've also introduced 2.5 years ago the awareness for astronomy in the country, and brought into the country the first mobile digital planetarium that is being brought around all over the country. And this has really inspired kids to take up or put in more emphasis and put in more time and enthusiasm into science and mathematics. I've also been involved in swimming. As you know, I've guested in your show quite a number of times, showing the ill effects of the current leadership of the Philippine National Association for Swimming. And so we've developed swimming athletes, swimmers, over the last 2.5 years, and now they're winning gold medals galore, internationally and locally.
Yes, ma'am.
And in school, we're now advocating for healthy lifestyle and the teaching of science.
Yes, ma'am.
In a very enjoyable, exciting, awesome manner.
Yes, ma'am. Before we talk about the school, let's talk about you and how you got involved in this. Were you always an advocate of education? How did you segue from being a senator, from being a politician, to becoming an educator?
My mother founded Diliman Preparatory School in 1969. And from the time, as far back as I can remember, I've never been really excited about school. So I had been to 9 schools, and I felt that schools were not we're not providing the right environment for children to enjoy studying and encouragement to do better. School was largely quite punitive, or it was like a nosebleed kind of a
Sure, almost.
And so everything was a matter of you have to get good grades or else you're not going to get anywhere. Rather than saying that if you liked school and enjoyed school, you would get good grades. So I didn't like the way grades were the only measure of the success of a child. And I felt that that was the most criminal part of the parents' manner by which they bring up kids. Why did you only get 86? Why not 96? And if you got 96, why not 100? Why did you still get 4 questions or 4 answers wrong?
Yes.
Rather than saying, oh, you didn't get this right, no problem. You know what the answer is? This. Why? Because it's this. So even if the child got 70%, by giving him the answers and telling him how to arrive at those answers, he would feel good about it. And says, oh, oops, next time I know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So maybe I didn't see it that way. And yet, in adult life, we tell them, you try and try until you succeed. And the biggest taipans have fallen so many times, that's why they're the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Because after falling down, they stand up and they get up and go.
That's what they say. I was in Chinatown earlier, and on the door, on the window of a store owned by a Chinese Filipino person, there was a sign that said, the greatest success is getting up from failure.
Yes.
So I just remember
Exactly.
exactly that.
And yet, we punish kids for failure. And if we don't, like in some schools, they just keep passing kids. No kids fail. That's even worse. Because if he couldn't understand the concept in 3rd grade, you put him in 4th grade, he still didn't understand it. Then you push him higher and higher, he will feel like he's slower. He'll feel like he's more set back. So these are the things we're changing, especially in the last 5 years at Diliman Prep School.
Wow.
And talking about success, you know, we had a valedictorian 4 years ago.
Yes.
Her name is Shania Dagit. Shania Dagit went to Philippine Science High School after Diliman grade school.
Grade school.
Diliman Prep School, grade school. And I just heard today, that she is the top in her class, and she was awarded the Oblation Award. And that's from a school that people are afraid to go to,
The top of
Philippine
her class,
Science.
Philippine Science
Philippine
High School.
Science High School. So 4 years ago, she was top in Diliman Prep, and now she's top in Philippine Science. And we're very proud because every year we have 2 kids, I think, that go to Philippine Science.
And Senator, that's really a big accomplishment because everyone knows that the best of the best, the brightest kids go to Philippine Science High School. The competition is so it's so fierce.
Or
there.
maybe the best who want to be in the sciences.
Yes,
No?
that's the more
Because
correct way of putting
some
it,
of the
yeah.
best kids want to be in sports.
Yes.
Some of the best kids want to be in arts. So it's really not the best, but the best who really have a focus in the sciences.
And everyone in PSHS, I mean, everyone's smart. I mean, there's
Well, it's
no
very
slogan.
competitive.
There's very competitive. Absolutely.
It's no nonsense school. Huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're with really smart kids. All of you are smart.
Yeah,
bunch.
so
For
the-
her to graduate at top,
Yeah.
wow.
So the announcement I'd like to make is those of us who would like our kids to go to Philippine Science, but there's simply not enough space. Thousands, if not tens of thousands want to go there. In the first place, it's free. Or you even get an allowance, right?
From the
So we
government, yeah.
invite them to come to Diliman Prep. Because then you have very strong science programs. And I'd like to greet Dr. Cese of UP Los Baños because he's really energized our science program for 2012-2013 from the preschool.
Yes.
You
This is
know?
very interesting, though, Senator
Yeah.
Castellani, because you guys are piloting or initiating a space science
Program, that's right.
And you're starting them really early for space.
In the preschool.
Yes, preschool.
Preschool, yes. Because it's easier to teach a preschool kid anything.
Like
you
a sponge. just
rather
soak it
than
up. Yeah.
teach a high school student something new. You see? In other words, if you bring a newborn baby to Beijing and leave him there, send him back here at 3 years old,
Be Chinese
4
speaking,
years old,
speaking
he'll
Mandarin.
be speaking fluent Mandarin,
Yeah.
if not reading fluent
Yes.
Mandarin, right?
Yeah.
So, wait a minute. That's a 1-year-old or 0 to 3. Can you imagine sending the 2 of us there?
Yeah, sure.
How
It'll take us
long will it take
forever.
us to learn?
Forever.
So, if you start them early, they're enthusiastic about it. They're excited about it. And that's the best.
But Senator, I mean, parents watching us now, we're probably thinking, isn't it too early to start kids up learning about space and science
it's
and
all fun.
astronomy and all that? I mean, what can...
You know, when a child at 2 years old looks up at night, the sky, on a bright night, of course, not on a cloudy night, no? He would have easily 100 questions about the moon, about the stars.
Yeah.
Why are some stars brighter than others? Why are there no stars here and stars here? Are these the same stars that my cousin in, I don't know, maybe South Africa are looking at? Or my friend who is in Oslo, is this the same sky that they're looking at? You know, why is the sun so bright? You know, they have thousands of questions that even sometimes adults cannot answer.
And that really is the key in this program, I think. It's awakening that inquisitiveness of the child for them to ask questions, to be curious about the surroundings.
I was inspired by Queen Ali Chua.
I know. She was my professor in
brilliant,
college.
brilliant woman.
Absolutely.
For math. And I found out through her writings that close to half of grade school and high school teachers that she tested failed the science and math exams.
Wow, that's alarming.
Now,
Huh?
if
That's
that
alarming.
is what we are teaching our kids,
Wow.
let's say in the public schools or even some of the private schools, then what kind of a generation of children are we going to produce by the time they become adults? Now, we all look at astronomy as, hey, those are for crazy guys or something. Nerds, no? Have we not thought of, you know, like meteorology or being a weatherman or going into aerospace or aviation or maybe remote sensing for agriculture or mapping for agriculture or for whatever, mapping, other subjects. You know?
Absolutely.
And yet, we all insisted to go into nursing, and we have 400,000 unemployed nurses, some of whom are working as sales girls, some of them are working as call center agents, and they took 5 years of nursing. Can you beat that?
Even domestics overseas.
And even domestics overseas, or
Yes.
caregivers.
Yes.
You're an RN, a professional, and you're working as a caregiver, right? Why? Because from the day a Filipino child is born, naririnig na niya, uy, aalagaan ka ng ate mo, alagaan mo yung anak mo, alagaan mo yung pinsan mo, aalagaan ka ng nanay mo, alagaan mo yung tatay. It's always mag-aalaga ka. So from the consciousness of a newborn child, yung pag-aalaga, career niya na yon. Kaya madali pumasok sa nursing eh.
Yes,
Sabihin ng nanay mo, o paanak, pasok ka sa nursing. Napakadali pumasok. Bakit? Kasi yung pag-aalaga, nasa isip na natin yun. So we make it alaga all our lives.
Yes.
Now, if maaga pa, you know, I once went to a public school and I asked the grade school kids and high school kids, what would they like to be? Or what is their dream? They want to own their own tricycle or own a refrigerator to make ice candy. Now, I think that's very good.
Sure.
Can you imagine if we had 14 million more tricycles on the road?
God help us.
14 million more. I mean, that's the number of kids we have in
Yes,
school.
yes,
And
yes.
if they just want, because that's the world that they know.
Yes.
If that's all they want to be, where will they find us?
Yes.
What are going to be like,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you take a country like Thailand, I think their telescope in their observatory is 2.5 meters in diameter. Whoa, that's from there to there, 2.5 meters.
It's a big lens.
Is the diameter.
Yes.
I think ours is 0.5 meter. Diba?
Yes.
We have 100 million people and we're exporting workers.
Yes.
And we are proud of that because we're saying that it's bringing us $25 billion a year. If we were exporting scientists or engaged in the study of the heavens or the study of, like in agriculture, as I said, or sometimes they need them for disaster prevention and management,
Yes.
like that. If you were exporting that level, assuming that that is really what you want to do, export, my goodness, then you will not have $25 billion. You will have maybe $50 or $75 billion coming into the country.
Yes. there really should be, sciences really should be emphasized and stressed in our educational system, and definitely you are on the right track. Let's talk about Diliman Prep's science program. When you say space science, I mean, how do you exactly teach kids about this?
Well,
Starting from
one branch,
preschool? Or
one branch is really astronomy,
okay.
and the other branch is satellite technology.
Satellite technology.
Yes.
And
You
wait,
see,
you're teaching this to elementary kids.
well, as I told you, the entire program starts in preschool.
Wow.
Because, you know, to launch a satellite, it might cost you like $150,000. If you and I got into this and launched our own satellite, we might have to spend this money.
150 million.
No, 150,000
Thousand
US
US,
dollars
okay.
to launch a
Okay.
satellite, you know.
Okay.
But how interested are we in developing ourselves along those lines? Example, we have 100 million people, and I think we have 3 astrophysicists who have a PhD
Only 3.
in the country. Yeah, Dr. Cesa is one.
Yes, Dr. Cesef, UP Los Baños,
UPLB,
and then
no?
2 other
Yes.
scientists.
Now,
Jeez,
RTU, Rizal Technological University,
that's shocking.
is the only university that has an astronomy course, 5-year course.
Wow.
And last year, they graduated, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 graduates.
That's
Serious.
sad. That's very
That's
sad.
sad.
Absolutely.
And yet, you have public schools with 15,000 kids, 8,000 kids in one school, and you have 3 that graduated from RTU.
Why is that? How come this is happening? Could it be because the perception that there's no money to be made in science, no one can live on a scientist's salary? Or,
I think it's cultural also. Why? Because you hear many parents say, science, naku anak,
gutom
mahirap
ka
pa
dyan.
yan.
Magugutom ka dyan.
Di ba? Mahirap yan.
Mahirap yan.
Di ba? Most of the time, we try to find the easiest way out. You hear people say, naku, laki-laki ng problema ko. Di ba? Anong gagawin mo? Pupunta ako sa spa. O manunood ako ng sine. O magmamadyong na lang ako. O magbabakasyon muna ako. So the vacation is a way to make iwas pusoy the problem.
Yes.
But at Diliman Prep School, nursery level, they're taught how much fun they can get out of problem solving. So like grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 math. I hear parents say, Ma'am, pwede ba yung math naman, yung madali na lang,
Yung
para
madali
kaya namin turuan yung anak namin? Sabi ko,
Nahihirapan
alam
pa
niyo,
yung magulang.
misis, kung ang ibibigay namin sa anak nyo, yung alam lang ninyo, lugi na kayo. Kung yung ibibigay namin sa grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, yun lang alam ninyo. Kawawa naman kayo kasi nagbabayad kayo ng tuition fee.
Yes.
At yung alam lang ninyo, ang ibibigay namin, you don't even need to go to school kung ganun lang eh.
Yes.
Andyan na yung internet, oh. You don't, in our time, we have to go to school and get it from the teachers. We have carry all these heavy books from the library. Nowadays, a child only has to click a button and he'll tell you what a penguin is and what he eats for breakfast.
It's all online. It's all online. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do in the schools is really, as I said, like awaken that innate
And it's all in good fun.
curiosity, make it fun
Yes.
for children.
And it's exciting, you know, like sometimes I'd like to think that my son and my daughter should know, ought to know more than what I know. I want them to stand on my shoulders. Like I'm standing on my mother's shoulders and my kids standing on my shoulders. And so if parents want to hold back their kids to know only what they can know and only know what they can spell.
Yes.
Sometimes even in tests, they say, Ma'am naman, ba't naman ang hirap-hirap ng vocabulary? Yung hindi namin alam, hindi namin maituro. So I said, no. Researching in the library, going to the library, going through the dictionary, that is part of your child's educational experience. Why do you want to do it for your child? You know, and sometimes when we explain to the teachers, we tell them, it's like a weightlifter. A weightlifter that can lift 100 kilos easily.
Yes.
Can easily lift 50 kilos. But if a person is only used to carrying 5 kilos, you give him 10 kilos,
Hirap
that's
na.
double the effort already.
Yes. Let's talk in terms of education. I understand it's a very holistic program you have here, athletic program, and you're
Yes.
also educating children or your students on proper lifestyles,
Yes.
proper eating, proper diets, and all that. Tell us about this program that you're starting now.
It's not starting now, buddy. We started this in 2010. No,
Okay.
2008.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
It started because there were 3 students who were failing in physics and in chemistry.
okay.
And the automatic reaction of the school at that time was not to allow them to come back to Diliman Prep School the next year. Because they're failure.
Okay.
They're failure.
Oh.
So I said, wait a minute, let's just change this. I know it's not in the blue book or whatever you want to call our black book, but let me talk to the kids. The only thing I asked the kids, hey, what do you like to do? One child said, I like to cook. I said, don't you cook at home? He says, no. Why? We have no space. I said, okay. And how about you? And so he says, I like to play the drums, and we want to have a music festival, Battle of the Bands. I said, oh, okay. So after, no, not even after. Right now, you get into my car. I'll take you to SM near North Mall. We went to JB Music Store and said, why don't you go choose your set of drums? And we bought several sets of drums. And the other one wanted to do guitar lessons. So I said, okay. So I told the principal, Mrs. Bernabe, I said, oh, Mrs. Bernabe, balato mo na sa akin itong tatlo, ha? Huwag mo muna kick out ito. Why? They're bright kids, bright-eyed, excited kids. And so they're doing not so well in chemistry and in physics. So I told them after classes, then you can play drums. Or, then what we did was we turned into stainless steel all our kitchen countertops that used to be tiles.
Okay.
Now all stainless steel
Okay.
tops. So they now began to cook and this and that. After 2 quarters, they're no longer failing.
What was the secret? How did you turn them around?
Well, they're playing the drums,
Okay.
playing the guitar. Now, I talk to the mother tells me, alam niyo ma'am, yung anak ko talaga nakakainis. Sa umaga pa lang, nandun na sa drums niya, nasa gitara.
Hindi sila makatulog.
Hindi siya pinapansin, hindi siya kinakausap.
Hindi siya-
But at night, yung bata natutulog sa tabi niya.
Yes.
Sabi ko, Mrs., ang swerte-swerte niyo. Ano? Lumalagpak yung anak ko, sasabihin niyo, swerte ako. Sabi ko, mahal na mahal kayo ng anak niyo. Ayaw lang niya marinig yung boses niyo. Pagtulog siya o pagtulog ka, hindi maririnig yung boses niyo. Kaya doon siya nakatutulog sa tabi niyo. Pero pag gising siya at gising kayo, doon siya sa drums siya nagko-concentrate. Where is he now? He's now in the University of Santo Tomas, in the Conservatory of Music.
Wow.
Now, if I kicked out those kids, where would they be? Then, I'm no Einstein, but I can read Einstein. And what did he say? If a fish were judged according to his ability to climb a tree,
Okay.
then he would feel like he's a failure all his life. By the same way, if a monkey were judged according to how he could swim 20 fathoms under the sea,
Yes.
right? So why do we insist for kids to be so boxed in like every child is like this? They have to be taught in the same way.
They have
So
to-
we found out that kids who are not doing very well in math, when you make them tear pieces of paper, cut up pieces of wood, and show what is 1/4, what is 1/2, well, how come they can pass, in fact, excel? So our swimmers, for example, are top in class, or at least top 7, top 10 in class.
Another shining part of your program, your swimming program.
Swimming, taekwondo, and basketball. So now we have a very strong taekwondo program. In fact, kids from other schools come to our school to learn taekwondo.
Because wasn't it one of your players, one of your students who recently made the national team?
Yes,
In
always,
taekwondo.
every year. Every year we have students that are accepted into the national team for taekwondo.
Yes.
And if the proper policies are in place, in fact, even swimming, our kids, we had, I think, 2 graduates that ended up in the UP, and they're now in the University of the Philippines swimming team, and the UP swimming team is the champion in the UAAP.
Wow.
The champions in the UAAP now are no longer from PASA. They're from the Philippine Swimming League, trained by the Philippine Swimming League.
And a lot coming from Diliman Preparatory School.
Well, we only started
Swimming
the
in your
program two
pool.
years ago, so
Yeah.
they're not really from there, except 2 who graduated from us. No? But the young ones now are still in, 4th grade, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade.
And a lot of potential there.
And they're now leading the pack, so to speak, in terms of time. No? In taekwondo also, we have last year I think we had one, this year another one, some years back 2 or 3 in the national team.
Opo. Senator, hold that thought because when we come back, we have to pause for a break. But when we come back, we'll talk about healthy lifestyles and your sports program and also the DOH pilot program that you're initiating in Diliman Preparatory School. So guys, don't go away because more of Philippines Uncut and healthy lifestyles for school children when we return.